All right, so we've talked about storage logistics, right? And how that can impact a volunteer and the logistics and the efficiency side of that.
Yes.
And the time-saving side of that. But I think that if you do not have efficient systems for setup and teardown, that this can pose a similar issue with volunteer burnout.
Oh, yeah.
We do a great job on deliveries about helping churches set up systems.
Yes.
And so for this, I want to talk a little bit about the importance, but also if there's any tips, tricks that you have that you tell churches when it comes to that stuff. I have some that I want to kind of share that we share on deliveries.
I was gonna say, I'd like to know what yours are. I haven't been on delivery in a long time.
Yeah. So
I think your stuff has probably changed a little bit.
Definitely has.
Okay.
But talk to me about the importance of efficient systems when it comes to setting up and tearing down, and why it matters when it comes to efficiency, time saving, volunteer health.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So another super loaded question. Thank you. These are really good. The reality is this. Last time we were talking about time, right? And if efficiency, right, is kind of a derivative of the time component, the reality is you can have the most amazing system on the planet.
Yeah.
If it's not efficient, over time your volunteers will burn out.
Yep.
You are going to have a harder time maintaining a healthy volunteer culture.
Yeah.
Right? And as that dwindles, portability becomes harder and harder and harder.
Yeah.
Right? It becomes harder on you as a leader.
Yeah.
It becomes harder on your team as leadership, and it becomes harder on your volunteers, right? At the end of the day. Because you could have, pick somebody, King and Country, right?
Okay.
You could have King and Country or Phil Wickham's or whoever's touring rig, right? You could have the most amazing, system. If you don't have volunteers to set it up, you're gonna have a hard time doing church.
Yeah. Yeah.
So ultimately, when you think about it, designing an efficient system values your volunteers' time.
That's good.
Right? And then I know at some point we'll probably talk about volunteer culture and how those things kind of overlap and where that is. But at the end of the day, and you've heard me say this before, I love Jesus, but I'm not setting up at 5 a.m.
Yep.
So when we look at a system, we look at it from the standpoint of how do I reduce the amount of time it takes a volunteer to set up product X.
Okay.
Right? I don't care what the product is. We'll pick signs.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
And this is where you can start getting into the value engineering component, right?
Yeah.
Of how do you define value for the dollar on a product scale?
Yeah.
Because there might be something that's really cheap, right?
Okay.
And it does the job.
Yep.
But there's 5 steps to set that thing up.
Yeah.
And it's not friendly.
Yeah.
Versus something that might cost, let's say it's double, just for easy math or just for fun. Let's say it's double the cost.
Yep.
But there's only 2 steps.
Yeah.
And they're easy.
Yeah.
Which one of those values your volunteer?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Now, you take that concept of the 2-step setup and you extrapolate that out across the course of an entire system. Now you're talking, again, the worship experience, kids ministry, hospitality, first impressions, your interior signs, your exterior signs, your storage logistics.
Yeah. Yeah.
One large case, like we got sitting here behind us, that rolls a TV and a bunch of equipment and a bunch of supplies for crafts and whatever all else, right? And you roll that in as one unit versus having to hand carry something. Or in this case, what if it's, you've got a bunch of tubs and you've got a dolly.
Yeah.
Well, if you've got 100 tubs and you have 2 dollies,
right.
Let's be aggressive. Let's say you have 10.
Yeah.
How many tubs can you reasonably fit on one dolly?
Right.
3?
Yeah. 3, 4.
Right.
Max 5.
Right.
But even then, how many trips is that?
how many trips are you gonna make?
Right.
So again, we start talking about efficiency, and you see that. We were talking about this in the last one too, where even on the load in and load out side, again, it comes back to time.
Yeah.
If we can unload a 24-foot long trailer in under 10 minutes with a couple people, or a handful of people, right? I can do it by myself in about 10 minutes.
Right.
You get a team of 4 or 5, and that whole trailer is empty in 6 minutes. The only reason you can't go faster is because you're gonna run each other over at the bottom of the trailer ramp.
Right.
Right? Now, that's all done.
A delivery experience, right? That we have, Saturdays, we carve out how many hours? 6 hours.
Five,
Yeah, 5, 6 hours.
with
like
a
that.
5 with a 1 hour fudge factor window thing.
Yep. And most volunteers in churches are like, how are we going to, you guys told us an hour.
Absolutely.
What is
Absolutely.
happening, right?
Yes.
And then Sunday comes around and they're done and wanting to go home to shower to get back to church in an hour, right? Because they knocked it out. And those systems in place that we go over, and that they also have matter to take care of their volunteers, but also so that at the end of the day, we are honoring the venue. That's a factor that goes into that.
Huge.
Having the right systems protects that venue, right? And allows you to replicate, repeat, bring in new volunteers, which we'll talk about, right? Having systems that are repeatable and can breed healthy volunteer growth is massive.
Absolutely. Well, and to your point, you start talking about the time savings in the facility you mentioned. One of the neat things that we see is, generally speaking, we are able to, over time, reduce the amount of time that the church is actually in that space.
Yeah.
And if they can reduce that amount of time, most of the churches are paying an hourly rate based on a block of hours. Right. So $100 an hour for 5 hours. Well, what if they're in and out of there in 3? That's $200 an hour times 4 Sundays or 5 Sundays, $800 to $1,000 a month that they are saving on rental.
Yeah.
Right. So, and again, I'm trying to use easy math. I know $100 an hour, depending on where you're at. I've talked to a guy in California. It's like $6,000 a weekend.
That's crazy.
So it really comes into play. It really becomes a big deal to reduce that setup and teardown time, because, and here's the other thing I want people to think about. If you're looking at a volunteer culture and you're looking at a setup window and you're thinking, oh, we're going to come in and for the love, please don't do Saturday setups. Your volunteers want to go on vacation and they don't want to be there on Saturday. They're coming on Sunday. So we don't want to do Saturday setup. If you can avoid it, please don't do Saturday setup. You've heard me say that before.
Yeah.
Now, back to what I was going to say. If we can set up a system in 45 minutes to an hour, from the time that the truck and trailer stops in front of the building and you start the unload process until they are functionally ready for church.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm going to get into a couple of details, right? And you mentioned this in the kind of beginning of this segment. The preferred window of time that you buffer from end of setup until actual start of church is about 20 minutes. You want a 20-minute buffer, because that's the window of time here in the States where most people are starting to show up. About the earliest at most churches you're going to get is going to be about 20-ish minutes early.
Yeah.
So if you can be done about 20 minutes ahead of time, you're playing your bumper music.
Yep. Greeters at the door.
Greeters at the door. Everybody's ready to go.
Yep.
Coffee's hot. Yep. Donuts are out. Whatever that is, it's all set up and ready to go. Right. Check-in computers are turned on. They're ready to start printing labels. All the stuff. You're functionally done.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, whether you want to front load that and have a window of team prayer in there, or you want to do something else, or a band has to practice or whatever, that's fine. But 20 minutes, right?
Yep.
So setup should be about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yep.
Here's another reason why that matters. I'm married, 2 kids. It's a whole different argument for me to bail and leave the house at 5:30 to be there by 5:45 or 6 to do a setup, leaving my wife to try to get everybody ready and out the door, which some days are easy, some days are not as easy, right? Versus, hey, we're gonna go an hour early.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a whole different deal. Now, there's no reason why my wife can't be involved.
Yeah.
We can bring my kids. And here's what I've seen happen time and time again. And this is, again, I've been doing this 18 years and I've heard this so many times, I can't even give you names anymore. I've heard it so many times, right?
Yeah.
The ability that people have to come and then serve with their family. Now you've got kids that are growing up in a servant culture because they see mom and dad serving at church on Sundays. So often those kids get involved in the setup process, right? My son's 15 now, would absolutely be involved in the setup and teardown. Your two most excited groups of people, if we're gonna categorize people for helping out, are junior hires and some of our older folks.
Yeah, for sure, especially when it comes to setup and teardown.
Right, exactly, especially when it comes up to setup and teardown. The junior hires, they're just excited to be able to do something. They have more energy than they know what to do with.
Yeah.
Right? and some of our older folks,
They're tired of just holding a door.
Yeah,
Jesse.
they don't.
They want to do.
They want to
more.
do something.
Yeah.
They want to be really involved.
Yeah.
And they're excited about it.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we create systems that allow anybody to do this?
Whenever I want a delivery, I try to give a ton of nuggets to the church of how they can have efficient systems that are replicable and all that stuff. You know, I think one of the things that often happens though that does cause chaos because systems aren't in place is the lack of consistency in systems, right?
Yeah.
Churches so often, I was just talking with the church this past weekend about this. We kind of say like, hey, depending on the situation, depending on the church, depending on the size of your system, the range is somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks of keep the system the same.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So often churches change stuff on delivery weekend when we try not to, and then they change stuff the next weekend, and the next weekend, and the next weekend, and 52 weekends from then, they're changing stuff. And the volunteers are like, wait a second, I just learned this system last week. Now you're telling me this system. Yeah. What happens, Jesse?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'll back up a half step from that. It's really important. The efficiency side is maintained by the consistency of product X comes out of case Y.
Yeah.
Product X goes back into the exact same spot you took it out of case Y.
Yep.
Right?
Without exception.
Without exception. Like that is just a standard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like portable church rule number 2, right?
Yeah.
Rule number 1 is thou shalt not lift. Rule number 2 is put stuff back where it came from.
Right.
Because, right, and we'll talk more about this as we get into some little nugget now. As you grow and as you develop multiple setup and teardown teams, one of the fastest ways to stir up dissension in a team is to have week 1, not put stuff back where it goes. Week 2 rolls in and things aren't where they're supposed to be. And now week 2 is grumbling about week 1 for good reason.
Yeah.
Now, is that healthy?
Right.
Does that breed healthy culture? Right. No, of course not. So it's super important that everything goes back where it came from. Now, to your point, I also think that there's this phenomenon that we see, and pretty consistently, it takes churches 6-7 weeks to really catch their stride.
Yep.
Okay. I typically tell people around week 7, you should be locked in.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? If you get to week 8, 9, 10, and you're still struggling, give us a call.
Yeah.
Call us.
Yeah.
If you are still struggling at week 8, 9, and 10,
what does struggle look like
now,
though?
Great point.
Yeah.
If you're not hitting your hour setup.
Okay. And
right?
hour is an estimate based off size.
It's rough, right?
I mean, if you have 5 LED walls in your portable setup or something, it's going to take you longer than an hour. But somewhere between 45.
Segment? Do we get to talk about LED walls?
Yeah.
Point?
45 minutes to an hour and 15 is a solid
sure.
range.
Yes,
and that's
I'm good with
volunteer size of team, like
absolutely.
all of those things that go into it.
Culture, is it blue collar? Is it white collar? What's the environment look like?
Is it raining that day?
Exactly, right? Is it in January and it snows every 5 minutes? Right. Are you in Alaska and it's like negative 800 degrees, right? All of those things matter.
Yeah.
So, but general rule of thumb, 7-ish weeks, right? You should catch your stride. Now, I expect placement of product physically in the space when it's set up to shift and change a little bit. What I mean by that is maybe you had the welcome table in one space and you find out that it is not conducive to the way that people are engaging with that environment no matter what you do.
Right.
Move it.
Right.
You don't change where the table gets stored in the system. It goes back into the table case where it belongs.
Right.
But you can modify in that 7 weeks really kind of a few of those details.
Yeah.
Like a sign. You might have a sign somewhere and people just do not even seem to know it exists or notice its existence, and you need to change its position, or it's a bottleneck that's causing problems with traffic flow in and out of the building.
Right.
Move the sign.
Right.
You don't store it, in a different place.
Right.
Okay. Sorry.
No, you're good. That was great.
Okay.
No, that was great. My thought was like,
fired up on that.
No, that's great. And I mean, it goes to the same thing of like, in kids ministry, right? You can modify the TV's on this side of the room and now it's on this side of the room.
Absolutely.
Sure. But let's not go from, a full scale 150 piece foam flooring down to or up to 300 in week 2, right?
Right.
Like that causes conflict and confusion and
Yes.
and all of those things where, hey, let's keep consistency.
Yeah.
Let's allow our volunteers to get quick at this, get used to it, get comfortable with it.
Yes.
Those are the big factors that go into that.
Well, and to your point, I think that it's really important initially for a team to have a consistent group of people that are doing the setup and teardown for the first few weeks when a church gets their system at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? We come out, we do the delivery and the training, and for the first 4 weeks, it's the same team. So you got to get a commitment. It is a commitment to do that, and I get that. But that consistency, then that group becomes the trainers.
Yep.
So you've heard me say this before too, and this probably is getting into the culture piece, which I know we're going to talk about, but ultimately, to get to a fully functioning, healthy team, you're going to want to grow multiple teams.
Yeah.
So for the first few weeks, same team, and we actually function on a train-the-trainer model.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot of how we operate, right?
Yeah.
Which we run into every once in a while, people coming from other places to help out on delivery weekend. It's really helpful. If
The beta tester people
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Like, do I want to do this?
Yeah, do I
or
want
not?
it, right?
Yep.
And it's like, what doesn't help the church is when we come in and we're there to train for 2 days, and we find out that a large portion of the team is actually only there for launch weekend and they're going back.
Yeah.
Or they're going somewhere else.
Or they're
whatever.
only there for Saturday.
Yeah, they're only there for that Saturday and they're
Yeah.
never coming again.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute, I just showed you how to do everything, but you're not even gonna be here anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm glad we had help,
Right.
and I'm glad they got to see it and experience it, but that doesn't help this church plant.
Right. Right.
Or it doesn't help this campus.
Right.
Right?
Right.
We need to train the people that are going to be there to
Right.
train the next group of people.
Right. Right. There's a ton of ways you can help your volunteers. One of the ways, and I won't give away all the secrets that I go over on delivery weekend, but one of my favorites, and it's recent. I saw a church doing it about a year ago, and I stole it from them. I told them I was stealing
Don't
it.
love that.
It's
I love
yeah,
that.
yeah. It's great when you go somewhere and you go back to that church and they're doing something that's unique and different. That's the biggest thing I think that I appreciate about us is we're willing to learn and grow
Yes.
and understand that we have a way of doing it that has worked for 32 plus years, right? Or whatever. But we are always open to the idea of there are other ways that we can grow too
Sure.
and invest in churches. And so this way, this is one thing that I try to sew into every church that I go to for delivery, which is, man, how do you onboard new volunteers at a quick place without doing like hey, we're gonna do a Saturday training, or hey, we're gonna do a Thursday night,
Yes.
gathering
Yes,
to
yes.
do this. One of the things that's worked and that churches seem to have loved, and I've seen it, at another church, is a simple QR code inside of a case.
Mhm.
And in that QR code is documents, photos, videos, how-tos,
Yeah.
so on and so forth. You can link videos that we provide to churches, and that way, when a new volunteer comes in, they still have someone that's kind of holding their hand through the process, but they can scan that QR code and they know what goes in that room and how it goes in that room. You can also add stuff that protects the venue, which is how does the room tear down and how is it supposed to set up, right?
Yes.
What are those things that we're supposed to do to honor and protect that venue? Can go into that drive, that dock, that cloud,
100%.
whatever. And that's just one simple way to create a system that allows for volunteers to see something and easily onboard new volunteers.
Right, and so what's so cool about that is it allows them to have the traditional way it was doing it was the shadowing method. So it allows them to then send a link ahead of time and saying, hey, watch the videos.
Yep.
And to your point, we do. We have a bunch of great videos on YouTube that we've created that allow us to share our knowledge with people who we're probably never going to meet.
Yeah.
Right? That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that people can leverage that
Yep.
to onboard faster.
Yeah.
And the neat thing about this too is none of this is really complex.
Right.
Listen, outside of audio engineering, video engineering, lighting engineering, most of what we do is intentionally intuitive. We have worked really hard to make that stuff intuitive. And even some of the crazy stuff that we're coming up with, I was just on the phone with our founder, Pete. We did a video call there for a few minutes where he was showing me a new case design that he's R&D'ing over at the production warehouse.
Oh, awesome.
And so he and Brandon were over there show me a new, not front of house, what am I saying? A conference monitor case that they've been cranking on.
Yep.
So I'm super excited to see that it's not motorized, which is just bonkers. But to your point, we're always learning and adapting. And I love that you are actively looking for ways to collect information that we can then share with more churches that makes everybody better.
Right. Yeah.
That's huge.
Kingdom growth. That's what it's about, right?
Yeah. That's the whole reason we're here.
Yeah.